Book summary: Knife in the Back by Karen Rose. The city of New Orleans hums with secrets. Its streets are alive with jazz and laughter, but behind the music lingers something darker: corruption, betrayal, and danger that slithers through the alleys like smoke. In this world, truth can be twisted, loyalty can be bought, and justice sometimes feels like just another illusion. But what happens when one woman, already broken by the system, dares to fight back? This is the story of Naomi Cranston. A mother. A survivor. A woman framed for a crime she didn't commit, who now faces the same enemies all over again. Welcome to Knife in the Back, a tense, heart-pounding New Orleans thriller by best-selling author Karen Rose. Part 1, Naomi's Fall from Grace. Naomi Cranston wasn't just a police officer. She was a mother, a friend, and for years, a believer in justice. She wore the badge proudly, thinking she was protecting her city, her community, and most of all, her young son. But the badge betrayed her. One night, everything she had built was ripped away. Drugs from the evidence locker went missing, and the finger pointed at her. The accusations were loud. The evidence seemed airtight. And when threats came, threats aimed at her son, Naomi was left with no choice. She didn't fight the charges. She went quietly, swallowed her innocence, and took the fall. 5 long years in prison. Imagine that. 5 years of steel bars and whispers, 5 years of shame, of being branded a dirty cop, of knowing the real criminals still walked free. 5 years where the only thing that kept her breathing was the thought of her son, waiting on the outside. When she was finally released, Naomi vowed to start over. She opened a flower shop, hoping the beauty of roses and lilies could help bury the pain of her past. A fresh start. A new beginning. But the past has sharp edges. And some wounds refuse to stay closed. Part 2, The Threat Returns. Just when Naomi thought she could breathe again, they came back. The same men who framed her. The same criminals who had stolen her freedom. This time, they weren't asking, they were demanding. Her flower shop, her sanctuary, would now be their front. Deliveries of bouquets would become deliveries of drugs. Every petal is hiding poison. Every arrangement, a smokescreen for crime. And the threat was clear: if she didn't obey, if she dared to resist, her son would pay the price. But Naomi Cranston wasn't the same woman she had been 5 years ago. Prison had hardened her resolve. Fear had sharpened into determination. This time, she wouldn't go quietly. Part 3, Enter Burke Broussard. To fight back, Naomi needed help. Not just any help, but someone who understood the shadows of New Orleans, someone who had walked the same dangerous line she had once walked. That's when she turned to Broussard Investigations. Burke Broussard, ex-cop, now private investigator. A man with scars of his own, and a long memory of the corruption that had eaten away at the New Orleans Police Department. When Naomi's name first landed on his desk, Burke didn't want the case. He remembered her. He remembered the scandal. To him, she was guilty, another crooked officer who had stained the badge. But then, he met her. Sitting across the table from Naomi, hearing her voice tremble yet refusing to break, seeing the pain written across her face, Burke began to question everything he thought he knew. And for the first time, he wondered if Naomi Cranston wasn't a criminal at all, but a victim who had been carrying a knife in her back all along. Part 4, The Investigation Begins. Together, Naomi and Burke stepped into dangerous territory. For Naomi, it meant reliving the nightmare, pulling apart the tangled web of lies that had destroyed her life. For Burke, it meant putting aside his doubts, following the trail of corruption through the darkest corners of the city. The deeper they went, the more they uncovered. Hidden deals. Dirty money. Officers who had sworn to protect and serve, but instead protected themselves. And through it all, Naomi carried the weight of a mother's fear. Her son was the target. Every threat, every shadow outside the window, every phone call that went silent when she answered, it all pointed to one terrifying truth. The criminals weren't just back. They were watching. Part 5, Naomi and Burke, a fragile trust. Trust is fragile, especially when it's born in the middle of danger. At first, Burke was cautious. Naomi was cautious too. She had been betrayed before, by people she once called family in uniform. Opening her heart again felt impossible. But as the investigation deepened, so did their connection. Burke saw her strength, not just the kind that fights back, but the kind that holds steady when your world collapses. Naomi saw his resolve, not just to uncover the truth, but to protect her and her son no matter the cost. A bond began to form. And with it came something neither of them expected, hope. But in a world built on lies and corruption, hope can be a dangerous thing. Part 6, The Rising Tension. The walls began to close in. Anonymous messages. Unmarked cars lingering outside. A break-in that left no trace except for the chilling knowledge that someone had been inside Naomi's home. Burke knew what it meant. The enemy was tightening the noose. They weren't just sending warnings anymore, they were ready to strike. For Naomi, every moment with her son became both a blessing and a countdown. Every smile, every hug, carried the weight of uncertainty. Could she keep him safe? Could she finally clear her name? And for Burke, the lines between professional and personal blurred. Protecting Naomi wasn't just a job anymore. It was a promise. Part 7, The City as a Character. New Orleans isn't just a setting in this story, it's a character. The French Quarter's narrow streets, the echo of jazz spilling from bars, the scent of gumbo mixing with the river air, it all paints a picture of life and beauty. But beneath that beauty lies something rotten. The city is alive with contrasts. Celebration and corruption. Music and menace. A place where every street corner could hold a friend or an enemy. For Naomi and Burke, every step through this city is both familiar and dangerous. And every truth they uncover brings them closer to the heart of darkness. Part 8, A Fragile Relationship in the Storm. A relationship born in fire is never simple. Naomi and Burke's connection grew under pressure, forged in danger. But danger is a cruel test of love. Every secret uncovered about the corruption, every shadow that followed them, was also a test of whether they could trust each other fully. Naomi knew the risks. Falling for Burke meant opening herself to heartbreak. Burke knew it too, mixing business with emotion was dangerous. Yet, in the moments between the chaos, in the rare silences where the city seemed to hold its breath, there was something undeniable. Something fragile, but real. Could love survive in the middle of a storm like this? Part 9, The Climax Looms. As the investigation closed in on the truth, the danger reached its peak. Naomi's enemies grew desperate. They had silenced her once. They had destroyed her life, stolen years from her, and turned her into a ghost in her own city. Now, faced with the possibility of exposure, they would stop at nothing to silence her again. The question wasn't just whether Naomi and Burke could uncover the truth. The question was whether they could survive it. Part 10, Themes and Resonance. At its heart, Knife in the Back isn't just about crime and corruption. It's about resilience. About how far a mother will go to protect her child. About how truth, no matter how deeply it's buried, has a way of clawing its way back into the light. It's also about redemption, Naomi fighting to clear her name, Burke learning to trust again, and both of them daring to hope in a city where hope can feel like a luxury. And it's about love. Not the easy kind, not the safe kind, but the kind forged in danger, tested by fire, and tempered by trust. Naomi Cranston's story is one of survival, of courage, and of defiance against a system designed to break her. Knife in the Back takes you into the streets of New Orleans, where danger lurks in the shadows, where corruption cuts deep, and where one woman's fight for justice becomes a battle for her very life. Will she protect her son? Will she finally uncover the truth? And can a fragile love survive in a world built on lies? The answers lie in Karen Rose's Knife in the Back. A novel of danger, romance, and redemption that will leave you breathless until the final page. If you enjoy heart-pounding thrillers filled with suspense, romance, and characters who refuse to give up, then Knife in the Back is a story you won't want to miss. Don't just listen to the summary, dive into the pages and experience the danger, the passion, and the fight for justice yourself.